Welcome back. We are on PI Today's podcast with Sarah Havens. Look at this. We are here at CSIM's conference, and she's not only an attorney, she is a bad, as you know, trial lawyer. That's what she is. And when I look at Sarah, I just think of, I always ask her, oh, what trial are you in right now? Because this girl is always in trial. She's always prepping for trial. She cares about her clients more than most people I've interacted with do. And I just get really excited by her passion. She has a lot of passion, and we'll get into this. But Sarah, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Finally.
And yes, I've been after her for over a year, I think. So here we are. It's better late than never. And I actually got to witness you on a panel today of leaders, of women in leadership, and you definitely embody, that leadership role. Even though I know you may not have been up there on the panel, you are definitely what I would consider somebody that should be up there as well, type of thing. So,
well, it was great to see my girls up there, and really, I couldn't have been happier and more excited and more proud of just where we all are in this industry. So regardless of being on that panel or in the room, cheering everybody on, it was fantastic.
Yeah, the camaraderie you get here, any conference really, it's just so nice that other lawyers look at each other like, hey, we're here to support at anything that you're doing, and to make you even better than you are. And that's what's so great. It's not about, one way to do it, and we take from everybody's, experience. So you've been at it for quite some time. Tell us, when did you become a lawyer?
Well, it was a second career for me, which some people know. So I was doing professional snowboarding. My husband was a pro skier before this.
That's right.
So there was always that competitive nature. And then it was, then we decided that it was time to grow up. And so my husband and I got married in San Diego, went to law school. And I don't know when, you kind of go into law school not really knowing, but in hindsight, it seems really clear to me that doing trial work was the obvious way to go, and fighting for, fighting for individuals and justice against insurance companies and corporations. I just really couldn't imagine doing anything other than that.
And what gave you that line of practice to go into? What was that spark for you?
It's interesting. I think it more found me, to be honest. Just I fit in more with the misfits of the plaintiff world. I am kind of a little outside the box, and I kind of I'm just not your typical lawyer. I didn't have any lawyers in my family, and I didn't come from a lawyer background. And now in hindsight, having done this so long, I just don't fit the mold.
Right.
I think in so many ways. And so I was at University of San Diego, and they were doing all these interviews for big law, and I literally just didn't fit the mold, and I felt like patchouli in a room full of Chanel. And I struggled with that, and I struggled with just not fitting in or being that
that box,
the box, right. I never fit into that box, and I struggled with that, and I tried to mold and conform, and I still do. And I think in some way we need to, because
you have to be adaptable to
and you have to be conservative, and you have to be able to wear different hats.
Sure.
But you also have to be you, right?
Yes.
And so what happened, actually, I knew that I liked civil litigation and trial work, so I clerked for a judge, and I saw a well-known plaintiff lawyer try a case, and I thought for the very first time I saw him do opening statement, and I thought, well, that I could do.
Oh, how cool.
It was the first time I saw somebody who I felt like was something that fit.
Yes.
And so then, that person was a plaintiff lawyer, and then I just went where I felt that I belonged more, and that led me. I just followed where I felt like I should go, where
your passion was taking you,
and where I felt accepted, and
yes,
and that I could be me a little more, and that just led me
Yeah, and you've done very well with it. So here
worked,
we are.
Yeah.
And where do you work now?
I own my own law firm.
Your own law firm.
Right. It's Havens Injury Law, and we are in Solana
Awesome.
Beach, but
Yes.
we take cases all over the state.
Absolutely. And you're in trial almost every month, I feel like. Take us through one of your trials where you felt we're in the traumatic brain injury arena right now. We just finished a conference here surrounding traumatic brain injury. Do you have a case in mind that you've done a brain injury where the imaging was vital to it, and maybe a case where the imaging wasn't so vital, but you did something different?
Right. So we just finished a trial on Monday.
Yes.
Of this week, and it settled about a couple weeks into our case in chief. It was a brain injury case, and causation was extremely difficult. It was a 9-year-old child, and she was hit in the mouth, and she lost a tooth, but there was no evidence. There was no report of concussion, no report of concussion symptoms. The emergency room didn't notice any of that, put it in there. There was no evidence in her records at all that she had any post-concussion symptoms at any point. And then about 5 months later, she started having seizures. And so, of course, they said that had nothing to do with the mouth injury that she got from our incident. And so it was a very difficult causation case. However, they did 2 EEGs, so there were MRIs, lots of MRIs, nothing in the MRIs.
Right.
They did DTI, nothing in there.
Because they didn't use TBI analytics software.
That might be why. But the EEGs did show electric misfirings in her right temporal lobe. So we went off that. Without that finding, that we were able to use that and show that the seizures were coming in from the left. It was actually the right temporal lobe. Not that it matters because,
but
it was the right temporal lobe, and we were able to create, through our biomech and show that area of abnormality came from the coupe contra coupe of how it hit her in the head.
Right.
And we kind of did reverse. We looked at how her teeth were and the damage in the part of the brain that showed the abnormality, and then we were able to have a biomechanist go backwards and show how there was a mechanism of injury, and then it just kind of slowly went from there. But we were able to prove it.
And they believed it so much that they didn't want to go through trial.
Right. So they tendered the $10 million policy. Actually, it was after our neuropsychologist testified. They called us.
A neuropsychologist, people, if you're listening, that's a very valuable spoke of the wheel that is a multifaceted treatment for brain injury, diagnosis and treatment, correct? Neuropsychology is one of, I believe, a gem in that world because they are able to break down how the person is and how they are affected by this brain injury, and so how they were before versus how they were after, how are the seizures affecting them. So that was brilliant to be able to pull in a good expert there and identify in layman's terms, if you will, and explain how the person probably was affected by it.
Yeah, it was really interesting in this case, the neuropsychology, because she had a pre-existing condition, so she had prior neuropsychological testing, and then several after, and so it was the key to the case.
Yes.
And this is what I think are important to understand about brain injury cases as opposed to, I do a lot of orthopedic cases, and the hip bone is connected to the leg bone.
Right.
Right. The brain is interesting because most of the time it's not going to show up just like a broken leg, right?
Right.
Even if you find objective findings in DTI or an MRI, there's so many things that happen, particularly as we age, and you typically don't have a brain MRI or before this happens, so you don't have something to compare it to. So even when you have these findings, they'll blame it on, everything under the sun.
Yes.
Everything under the sun. And this is what they do in every single one of the cases. So yes, you have to rule out the other things. And it's the same with an MRI of the spine, really, is they're going to rule out all these other things. But with the brain injury, there is just a team of doctors. It would always happen in a brain injury. Like if you're treating and you have a brain injury, like you're going to have a team of doctors. You're going to have your neurologist. You might have your, psychiatrist if there's medication involved, your neuropsychologist, and then maybe even your regular psychiatrist for your everyday treatment, your neurologist. And so in real life, if you're not in a personal injury case, that's what's going on. And so in understanding how that team works, it's almost like soccer, right? Like, or your daughter plays softball. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my kids play baseball, although I'm not big into baseball, so I'm kind of on a tangent, but I can say with soccer, right? So you have your keeper and they do one job, but they need to be able to communicate with the center halfbacks so that they can be sending it to them, who's also communicating with, the strikers who are going to be scoring the goals up in the front. And it's got to have this, we all understand where our place is, where we draw our lines, and how we communicate with each other. And it's the same with a brain injury component. So if you have an objective finding, like we did in our case,
right,
and correlating that with how that is working in the different components is so essential that they're all working together in sync. Because if one of the pieces aren't matching, then maybe we're not getting something right. Maybe we, if our seizures are happening this way, then maybe this isn't. And it's like putting the pieces of a puzzle together.
Yes.
And it's important to make sure that all of the team players are communicating or understanding all of this so that you can put together a cohesive picture that works.
Right. No, that's beautifully said, because that's been my thing for about 8 years now that I've been in traumatic brain injury and different facets of it. And what I will tell attorneys is, most attorneys, just generally, even patients, whatever, don't just depend on one source for traumatic brain injury, because you said it's a collective unit, multifaceted, and it's even better when they're all on that same page. And so just don't rely on just one. I tell even just when you have you said it well, just because you have findings even in an objective brain MRI does not mean it's going to correlate over unless you have that doctor, treater, and expert that's able to identify and correlate those symptoms with it. So
right. And it's actually the same really with like any MRI, like particularly with maybe a spine MRI where you have radicular symptoms and where the herniation is on here needs to correlate.
Yes.
And so that's where it's just a lot more difficult in a brain injury case because you can't see it so clearly, and there's a lot of messy stuff like, well, there's anxiety. Well, who doesn't have anxiety? Right. Or there's, this personality change, and it's just so subjective and open to interpretation much more than you're going to have with any sort of orthopedic injury.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so take us through day in the life of Sarah Havens. We have two little ones, and you are active in many legal aspects. You're on the board for CASD.
I'm the president of CASD.
She's president of CASD. Yeah. That's a full-time job. I know that, in a sense. If you were really taking it, to heart, and you're, and which I believe you take everything to heart, and you make that a focus, and you treat everything like you do as a mother. You're going to be a great mother. You're going to be a great lawyer. You're going to be a great colleague. I am
self-competitive, so if I'm going to do something, I'm going to try to be the best that I can at it.
I get that from you, and that's what I love the Spitfire. I love the energy. It's inspiring to witness, and then to know.
Not exhausting.
No, I think it can be exhausting if you're looking at it from that degree.
To watch sometimes.
Yeah, it is. You're like, wow. But because of that level of, I believe, the frequency that you keep your brain at, it allows you to take on all of these things and make it look like it's easy, right? And but you have your way of it. I've seen you raise your boys from when you were nursing to now they're
the 7.5-year-old was, you know, and I was around way before then, and I would carry him to.
Yes, and you were doing the same thing then. You were trial lawyer still, and maybe, I don't know if you had your firm yet, but maybe you're working for someone?
My firm's only 3 years old.
Wow, see, so you were going through working for somebody, having to stick to their schedule, what they wanted.
Yes.
And you still made it work, and here you are, still in that trial mode, having your own firm, president of CASD, and you have these 2 young boys. I mean, tell us, how do you make it all work, if you will?
Make it all work is definitely a subjective term there,
right? Oh, I love it.
But, you know, I feel like pretty much it kind of have been.
Yes.
And so one thing is I have ADHD, so I'm all over the place, and people often have this perception of me that I'm scattered and I'm all over the place, and that's the way ADHD brains work, that they're collaborative and they're all over the place. But it's compartmentalizing the everythings, right? So, you know, I have a calendar. I'm very, very, very crazy when it comes to calendaring. I have everything on a calendar. I'm really big on time, and this goes here and this goes there, and everything to me is figure-outable. So as a trial lawyer, you never know your schedule, right? And we're also kind of, my husband and I, you know, we met couch surfing and competing around the state. So we're very much like, oh, it's snowing. Okay, well, now we're going to go up to Mammoth Powder Day, right?
Yep.
Like, we want to go on a vacation to go camping, and I'm like, well, I'm not taking the kids out on Friday because I've got to wait until the ski season because that's when they're going to be sick, right?
Yes.
So we're used to pivoting on a dime, so I'm always thinking about, you know, okay, we switch, which is the same as trial, right? In trial, you're like, okay, this witness is going longer than I thought it was going to be. Let's pivot and then go here. And there's just always, you're just maneuvering things. And some people that maybe in organizational work, we're like, if I don't have something scheduled on like weeks in advance, and you know, just being a trial lawyer, having kids, being an adventure family, you have to be able to pivot all the time and be thinking, okay, well, if I move this and move this here, and I think that comes from really extensive calendaring, and everything is figure-outable.
Yes,
so
I love that approach.
We're just always like, okay, well, now I want, like, for example, my colleague, my co-counsel, is having a kid's birthday party tomorrow that I just found out about. And I'm like, well, since you're over here, we're going to stay here. I bet if we leave here at this time, we could head over there and then make both before I have to go back, because on Sunday nights, my husband has this. And so I'm just always...
I love it. You're
it's
always
like a problem solve. Yes. It's like solving problems all the time.
Yes, a little puzzle solver. And that's what I feel in any day that you're going through. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to be... It's personal or not, there's always a solution. We can figure it out.
Right.
And that's how you were with me today. I mean, I can do it at this time, and then we're like, we'll figure it out. Oh, you're staying. You were very adaptable. You were very workable, if you will. And thank you so much for being open to that. And it does make it a little easier to approach life when you can be
flexible.
Malleable.
Yeah,
yes.
and I think the ability to pivot. And when my kids were younger and they were napping all the time, you know, you're in these mom groups who are like, well, we got to schedule around the naps, and the kids nap at this time. And I'm like, I made a point where I'm like, you know, our plan is the no plan, and we do not schedule around naps. They can nap here, they can nap there. And when they're on that schedule, like, they never had that, oh my God, if, like, a lot of parents will talk about daylight savings time and be like, oh, everything gets ruined on daylight saving times. And for us, we're just so amenable to changing that it's like, okay, well, now we get up early for a little bit and it's just kind of roll.
Make the most of it. Yes.
Right.
That is great. What a great relationship to have with your husband, to be able to work and on a personal level as well as, and be able to, you know, work around each other's schedule, know what each other are going through, and support as well.
Well, without a doubt, having a partner who is on the same page, and he kind of runs the firm and runs kind of everything. You know, if I had a husband who wasn't quite like that, you know, then it might be more like Christian Morris's lifestyle, where you have 4 nannies and, you know, but I really delegate. I try to delegate as much as I can. My priorities are family, kids, work, my work, I'm being in trial. And so I try to not do it all at the same time. I try to be focused right now. I'm here, I'm focused on you. And then I'm going to turn it over. My kids are at the pool, and then I'm going to go hang out with my kids. And I'm going to try and put my phone down as much as I can and be there present for them.
And they know that. They know
well, they get a little. I try. I try to
they're
not
like,
work
Mom's
when I'm
talking
around
again.
yeah, Mom, when are you going to stop working? But one thing I think is the biggest priority above all is that I prioritize sleep when I can. So yes,
very important.
Yeah. So yes, sometimes in trial, am I pulling an all nighter? Am I, or when something's going on, do I to have the nights that I'm staying up all night or having this stuff? But when your cup is full, your batteries are charged 99% of the time, then you have the ability to deplete them every now and again, so long as you know that you're going to build them back up.
Sure.
But when I see lawyers or moms or whoever it is constantly working on like exhaustion, I just don't think, one, it's not a good way to live, and two, you're gonna exhaust yourself, and you need to be there for your clients and your trials and your work and your kids and your family.
Yeah, that's so important, because there's no pill you can take for lack of sleep. There just isn't. You can't just let me pop a pill for that.
You can do things like what some lawyers do, but that's a temporary fix.
Yeah,
if you want to be doing
is
this,
you can never get back those hours that you didn't get,
or you're just depleted. So if this is a lifestyle you plan on doing, where you plan on trying cases all the time, you need to make it work with your life. This can't be like, that's what I've learned. Right? Is that it has to be. And I also don't drink, which
you mentioned
saves
that
a lot of.
Headaches.
I don't have I'm not hungover. I don't need extra hours of sleep for that. I wake up like ready to hit the ground running, and I think that I don't know how people do this and drink even casually. It makes no sense to me.
Right, and to each their own, and it's a great way to approach every day, is knowing you have a clear mind, a clear head. You don't have to worry about I had too much to drink last night, and it's fun in the moment, but the next day it's just like, why did I do that? But wonderful what you're doing out here, and I know this just came to a close. It went really fast. I know you had even a session on stage that I witnessed, and that was awesome.
Yeah, I had one yesterday on trial tactics, and then one this morning on introducing work comp, or just different lawyers to the personal injury practice.
Awesome. And your personal injury primarily, exclusively?
Exclusively. Okay. I only represent injured victims through wrongful acts of usually corporations, governmental entities.
Yes, but there is the one or two cases
insurance
here and
companies.
There. Insurance companies, yes. There is the few cases that are crossovered, right, with workers' comp?
No, I don't do any work comp.
I know, but you can still, there are workers' comp attorneys out there, right, that just handle that side of the case. But then if there is any personal injury involvement of that, then that's where you can.
So sometimes my clients are working at the time that they get injured, and their employer is not the at-fault party; it's a third party that's at fault.
There you go.
So sometimes in my cases, there's a workers' comp lien or component,
right?
But that's not really.
Yeah, it's nothing that you can't handle or whatever.
It's saying. Just kind of, instead of using their health insurance, they're going through the work comp carrier.
Right. Got it. Perfect.
I mean, it comes with its own complications, and then the lien issue, and that is as dry as probably not something anybody wants to talk about.
No,
although
we're
we
not
are
going
to work comp here, but it's not the fun part of my practice. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah. So no, we'll stick with personal
especially
injury.
If there's coverage and work comp. Drop that case. Drop it now.
If you learn anything, yes, do that. Well, good stuff. I'll let you get back to your family, where they're, I'm sure, begging for you to be back. Thank you for taking the time.
Grandma lets them play on their tablets a lot more than I do, so I think they're taking advantage of that.
Oh, yes. Yes, we love Grandma. Always want to keep Grandma is the fun one, right? So no problem, Grams. You can do that. So, all right. Thank you, Sarah, so much.
This was
awesome.
This was fun.
Yeah, we'll do it again. And Kala, next week, if you're there, we're going to be running around with the mic and interviewing people about, what their experience is. And and how they're helping in this world. So thank you for what you're doing, because your passion is seen throughout, and I love it that you just take it really to heart on everything that you do. And
well, when you love what you do, you don't have to work a day in day in your life.
You really don't.
And
it's not work.
I love what I do. I'm so, every day I wake up and just being able to live the life that I live and do what I do and enjoy doing it and getting excited, and it's just, who gets that, right?
Yes.
Who gets that? And we get that.
You're living the dream.
It is living the dream. It really is.
Yeah, and you're snowboarding your way through it. I love it. It's so great.
These days, I'm probably dirt biking my way through it.
Oh, dirt biking, yeah, because it is August. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and listening in, and we'll catch you on the next episode. It has to be extremely frustrating to anyone experiencing TBI-like symptoms only to get a standard brain MRI that shows nothing to support a TBI diagnosis and comes back normal. TBI Analytics is an advanced brain imaging company specializing in diagnosing TBI when a standard brain MRI doesn't cut it. Our expert neuroradiologists provide a 40-plus page report identifying all the fiber tracts that are damaged due to the axonal shearing and that happens when a traumatic brain injury occurs. Standard brain MRIs are used to identify brain bleeds and emergency situations when someone has been injured, but it doesn't provide a full spectrum of what is happening in the gray and white matter of the brain. More than you might think happens to the integrity when that jello-like texture of our brain slams against the sharp-edged skull and bounces all over, causing the symptoms TBI victims complain about. Depending on what lobe of the brain is affected will determine the likelihood of what possible behavior-related or cognitive-related symptoms the patient is having. At TBI Analytics, rest assured, patients can now get the results they deserve and need to know in order to obtain the right treatment going forward. It's time to take the guesswork out on what is happening and get your no-doubt diagnosis now. Call 1-888-824-5989, and remember, it's not normal to have ongoing TBI symptoms. You can visit tbianalytics.org to learn more.